Welcome to BizClass. This interactive spreadsheet shows how interest paid is affected by the structure of a balance sheet, with particular reference to its debt-equity ratio. The blue cells in the spreadsheet are used for data entry, while the other cells have been locked. The Excel comments feature is used to explain the information required in each key cell. The spreadsheet consists of three key elements. The first element is a high-level balance sheet, which shows total assets, non-interest-bearing debt, equity, and interest-bearing debt. The ratios element shows how total assets are funded by non-interest-bearing debt, equity, and interest-bearing debt. It also shows the debt-equity ratio. The third element focuses on the formula which calculate interest using a weighted average rate of interest concept, with a proof calculation showing what portion of the net assets attracts interest. Let's set up a scenario where total assets are 100 million, non-interest bearing debt 24 million, equity 39 million, interest-bearing debt 37 million. The results show that total assets are financed by non-interest-bearing debt at 24%, equity at 39%, interest-bearing debt by 37%, resulting in the debt-equity ratio equaling 0.95. Now let's see what happens when we change the structure of the balance sheet to have non-interest-bearing debt at 33.33% and a debt-equity ratio of 0.5. We'll assume that the interest rate of 10% remains for both scenarios. Even though the interest rate remains the same, the interest charge is reduced because of two things. Firstly, the proportion of total assets funded by non-interest-bearing debt. In other words, creditors have increased, thus reducing net assets. Secondly, the debt-equity ratio has reduced from 0.95 to 0.5. It is important to understand these formulae. I would like to suggest that you take some time to work on them. They are clearly tabulated in the spreadsheet. The first section shows how the interest is calculated using the weighted average rate of interest, while the second section proves the first formula by showing what portion of net assets are financed. Reducing interest can be achieved by reducing net assets and/or by reducing the debt equity. Debt equity is defined as the proportion of interest-bearing debt to shareholders' equity in a business, which collectively equals its net assets. A value of less than 1 means the business has less interest-bearing debt than shareholders' equity. This ratio is usually driven by policy and is used to determine the strategic, sustainable growth rate of a business. This ratio is also considered when business expansion is on the table and, of course, when determining the value of dividends to be paid. I hope you find the spreadsheet useful, and hopefully you understand the importance of paying less interest by reducing net assets and reducing the debt-equity ratio in your business.